Hi there. Okay, let's continue thinking about OSC applications. So now we're going to look at a few apps that you can use on a smartphone that can send control data and all kinds of other interesting sensor data. We're going to start with TouchOSC, which is not affiliated with Touch Designer at all. Different people, just has the same word touch in it. Here we can see kind of new updated version of their app. It is $10, I believe, so not free, but it's still for everything that it can do. It's a very useful app and pretty easy to set up and get going with a lot of the presets. So if we look here, and so this one over here that's the older version of the app. If you have an older smartphone, you'll have to use that one because I think only the newer OSs can run the newer version. Okay, so just what we see here, I've got like webcam right here, and then this other view is an NDI capture coming from my phone, so we can kind of read the text a little bit better. So we can see over here on our OSC in CHOP in Touch Designer, it's getting that data. I'm using kind of the default simple layout. It's got different pages, lots of different types of UI controls, matrix. So to your heart's content, we can send all kinds of data, use it in arbitrary ways in Touch Designer. Let's just let's reset those channels. To start, let's look at how to connect the app with your receiver, your client device. Let's look here, system prefs. If I go to network. So I guess first of all, this will work as long as you're on the same Wi-Fi network. Because the Wi-Fi network here tends to have security on it and it makes OSC communication kind of shoddy. What I'm doing is I have my smartphone connected with the cable here via USB. It's plugged into the computer. And I am sharing. So if we go into sharing, internet sharing, iPhone USB is selected here. So my iMac is sharing the connection with the smartphone. And also that makes the NDI much more responsive. If you're doing NDI streaming over a Wi-Fi network, it tends to be very choppy. So I still need to go to network here. In my app, I still need to tell it what is the IP address of the place it's sending it to. So I can do... So it's sharing the Ethernet connection with the smartphone. So I'm going to get the IP address for the Ethernet, I think. So what we need to do is go into, actually not up here. So this UI I feel is a little bit weird. It's kind of counterintuitive at some points. So basically there's two different modes. I just switched it into editor mode. If I hit the little triangle play icon here, that's in control mode. Where you actually kind of do stuff with it. To go back to editor mode, we hit this little circle up in the corner. So this is where you change all the settings and things. So to put in the settings for connecting via OSC, there's a little chain. So you might think it's this little Wi-Fi thing, but it's not. Hit the little chain, and we see connections, MIDI, OSC, bridge, gamepad. So not only over OSC, you can connect directly to a DAW like Reaper, Ableton Live, all kinds of other things, and send MIDI notes and control data. OSC is what we're most familiar with. Also, there's this gamepad setting where if you had something like an Xbox controller, you could hook up the Xbox controller and send its position data to the app, and the faders and things would respond to whatever you're doing on the gamepad. So it's a sender as well as a recipient of data. But let's look at OSC. And I have already done this. So connection. So UDP is what we want. So universal data packet. That's basically that's the protocol that OSC follows. Host. I've put in right here. You can see that matches my IP address for my iMac. And send and receive port, these are arbitrary. Just make sure. So I'm sending at 8888, so my OSC and chop needs to go 8888 also. And we can have multiple connections here to send to more than one computer, so that's pretty cool also. Okay, so let's run that. Let's double check our OSC in. You can see here, network port 8888, so it's receiving what we're sending. Beautiful. Okay. So this default preset that I have running right now is called Simple MK2, I believe. We can look at the little menu here. If we go over, it kind of looks like a little hamburger icon, but it's not quite a hamburger icon, this little thing. It makes things kind of fold in and out. So we've got little data about that layout, but we want to look at the thing that is like a little book icon right here. That has all of our presets in it. So I'm running Simple MK2 right now. Let's just look at mix. So I click that loaded that new preset layout, hit the little play thing to run it. And then we have, all these different things working right here. Okay, beautiful. Most of these layouts have different pages. We go to EQ. So this one I think had in mind like probably some sort of DAW application effects. So this just looks like XY things there. So let's kind of cruise through some of these. This is kind of fun. You can just play around. So beat machine, right? So it's got kind of like pads, momentary buttons, faders, toggles. So lots of stuff to play with here. We're just like filling up all these channels. So depending on, you have in mind where you're going to be sending this data. And at first you can kind of look through all these presets and just see if one kind of matches the type of thing that you want to be using. And then go from there. So let's go down. Let's see, sensors is kind of cool. So this is actually accessing the phone's built-in accelerometer and gyroscope. So this is similar to what we'll see in the ZigSim app, that it has a lot of really great sensor data it can access. But in TouchOSC here also, we can grab that. And multi-XY, this is cool. Actually, let's do multi-XY and then run it. So this is like, actually let me, I can't even see this. Reset channels, okay. So I've got one touch, just XY. But I have multi-touch, 2 fingers. So we can see here it's, so the first touch is with like 1, 1, and then so X is basically 1, 1, and Y is 1, 2. Second touch is 2, 1, and 2, 2. Third touch. All right, so how many can we get here? It's got 4. It's getting crowded here. Gonna do 5. And I think that is the maximum. 6. No, okay. 5 is the max. Okay, so that's pretty cool. If you can imagine, I don't know, maybe like using these points to manipulate some geometry somehow, that could be kind of cool. Okay, nice. So that's multi-touch. Come on, okay. And okay, so you can play around, go through all these presets, see what they do. Let's get back to the Simple MK2, and I want to do something with it. Let's reset that. So I'm looking at, let me make this a little bit smaller so we can see. Revisiting this network that we did a while back. This is the landscape, lighting, and fog demo. So I want to use, let's say, let's go to XY. And so imagine I want to use this XY value here to change the look at parameter of my camera. So I've got a null comp already up in here. camera is looking at null 1. And so if I change the translate of my null 1, we can see, right? It kind of makes the camera look up and down. So how about we control that with our data coming in? So let's do, okay, so imagine, so I'm already kind of thinking ahead here. So we've got like all this data here. So our OSC in quickly kind of fills up with all the different channels of data that we're getting. My null comp, I just want to use this 3/xy/x and y, those two. I could go ahead and just drag it, like a normal chop reference, drag it from there. I want to kind of throw in a little extra chop channel parsing black belt techniques here also that we haven't really talked about yet. Because there's a lot of instances where maybe we do want to parse these separate from each other. What if I wanted to do some math on just this x and y value, but not on all the other channels, or filter any other type of like chop parsing? So I need to do a select, and so sometimes I could just do this manually, right? I could click here and I could just select, okay, there's X, there's the Y. Okay, great. That was pretty easy. I did that manually. At some point in the future though, let's get back with this little star. There might be lots of channels that you want to select all at once. So let's say, for instance, so this page here on my layout has these 16 push buttons, and we could see they are called with this name push. So what if I wanted to use these push buttons for something? Then it's just it's a pain to like go through and select 16 different channels. And then what if I change it? I'll have to go through again and change it. So it's too much work, right? So in the select, there's something else we could do here, and that is using this little star in a clever way. And I could say something like that. Poof. So that is looking for these characters that spell push, and then anything before it, anything after it. So it doesn't matter what's before it, doesn't matter what's after it. All that matters is the word push. So in the same way, we could do like that, because this right here has XY. That's the name of the data that's coming from TouchOSC. So by adding a little star before and after, it's just like, it doesn't matter what's before and after it. It's just focusing anything that has the XY, it's going to grab it. So that's pretty cool. Also, I have another thing, toggle here. So it's going to grab all the different toggles. Or check this out here. So if we look back, just star, the different pages of my TouchOSC app here have different leading numbers here. So page 1 are these faders and toggles you can see right here. So it has a 1/. Page 2 is the pad, so it has this 2 here. Page 3 is the XY, which is there. So let's say I want this to select only things that are on page 1. So we could do something like that. Whoops. That's not what I meant to do. 1/. Come back. All right, did I not do that right? So let's get only, oh, sorry. So in this case, I don't want a star before it because this is the first thing that we're looking at. So I can do something like that. Aha, okay, cool. So it starts with 1, and then anything that comes after it. That's going to grab everything from page 1, or everything from page 2, or everything from page 3. I didn't even look at page 4. Matrix, boom, 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 boom. Everything from page 4. Okay, so this is a cool way to parse the data in different ways. So, okay, another little trick. Let's go back to all of these. What if I wanted to select everything except all of the pushes for whatever reason? There's another little trick, which is using the little caret symbol. So that's Shift 6. So if I did something like this, so this selects everything that has the word push in it, but then it says select everything except that. There we go. So basically just got rid of everything that says push. And we could do that for any of these. Like get rid of everything that says toggle. There we go. Cool. So with a little extra little magic there, we can have more control over our selections. So I'm just gonna do this so I can grab the XY. And okay. I'll drag this over, translate. And let's see what happens. Oops, wrong one. XY. There we go. Okay, cool. That's working. I can see a problem though, because so on my XY here, that's 0, 0, if you can see, basically. Right down there in the corner, 0, 0, and up here is 1, 1. So I want the way that translate usually works in Touch, right? Like the kind of middle value should be 0, 0 instead of 0.5. So let's do a math, and let's do a range on that. Range from 0, 1, let's do negative 0.5, so positive 0.5. Okay. Okay, that looks much better. Maybe I want a little more dramatic movement though. I'm going to do like negative 5 to positive 5 to make that a lot more mobile. Okay, that looks cool. I like that. I can see just like the edge of the earth there falling off. Great, looks cool. What else? Let's change the sky a little bit. Let's just use one of these other things. So let's do faders. I'm just going to put all these down so I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to focus on fader 1. So let's just do another select. And for this one, let's get fader 1. Just do that manually. And let's send that over to our light. Let's just send it to dimmer. Okay, lights on, lights off. Nice. So I feel like the sky should kind of change here a little bit too, right? Let's look. So this, I don't have a skybox on this one. This was just using a ramp to create a kind of gradient sky thing. But what if, let's look at the phase here. So if the phase was, yeah, there we go. That's what I thought. So if phase is going down, it's roughly to 0.2. That would be the dark one, and then negative 0.5. That looks good. So let's say a range of negative 0.5 to negative 2 I like. So we use the fader on that also, but I want to do a different range. So negative 2 to negative 0.5 is what we want. Okay, how does that look? All right, cool. I like that. So I like this. It's super easy, really fluid. For me, I would love to have these controls on the same page though, right? So now in my mind, I'm thinking because I want to be able to do it simultaneously. Instead of now I clicked this XY page, and so now I don't have access to that fader and vice versa. So in this case, this is probably where I would dive into this, the custom editor, and try to edit this a little bit to figure out how I can put at least one fader and the XY thing on the same page to have a little more control over exactly what I need to do. We have, if we look, TouchOSC, not that. That's not what I wanted. So if we look at their website here, we can look at some other manuals, some other good info. Stuff like this is pretty cool. So this is like really insane UI. So this is getting data from some other program coming back into TouchOSC, and then also sending like when you hit the buttons and things. So super like custom UI there. This one also, it's really wild custom UI. So that type of thing is possible. Once you kind of dive into the editor, figure out how all that stuff works, you have to kind of name all the different buttons and label them in different ways. But it is possible. And also the cool thing is it runs everywhere, cross-platform. So you can imagine Raspberry Pis. It runs on all kinds of different machines, and it lists some software here. Touch Designer is not listed, but it's anything that can talk with OSC, with MIDI. Like the gamepad stuff seems really interesting. So really flexible app. And I think that's it. Okay, cool.